Hello, I'm Durham, and welcome to PaTTANpod. Effective partnerships that support students and the overall school improvement process. That's really what we're all seeking. Today, I want to focus our attention on the many networks available for families and caregivers, and how each of these organizations and agencies help us to build stronger family-school partnerships. Joining us on PaTTANpod is Cindy Deutsch from the Peel Center, Parent Education and Advocacy Leadership, Luz Hernandez from UNE, and Jill Herinda-Patton from Mission Empower. Welcome all to PaTTANpod. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us today.
Thanks, Dawn. Thanks for having us here.
You know, Cindy, we'll start right ahead with you. When we think about, having this opportunity right here on this episode to share and have insight into all of the tools that are available for our families and our caregivers, and really the larger community, can you really help us understand how the Peel Center can assist our families and caregivers in connecting our schools and teachers to really strengthen that family-school partnership?
Sure. So the Peel Center's been around since 2005, and in the time, I think we've had a history of working with schools, and I use PaTTAN and PDE in collaborating with families and to make sure that everyone's providing a free, appropriate public education to kids with IEPs. The goal of a Parent Training and Information Center is to improve the parent and school relationship, to provide parents with the ability to be those informed decision makers that they're entitled to be on an IEP team. We want to make sure that they feel empowered to be the best advocate for their child to be. Usually the way we do this is through individual assistance. We can help families who speak any language using language line, and our bilingual family resource specialists speaking Spanish and Mandarin to help them understand not only where they can find things in the law and effective strategies, but again, how to be that partner on the IEP team. We have a Family Leadership Institute where we bring in families who've applied and provide them information to help them to grow to be leaders in their communities and to make change where it's needed. The Peel Center will often partner with the Office for Dispute Resolution, especially around creating agreement. This is something that ODR offers and that we're fully behind and support, so that families and schools are working together to ensure that kids are getting their free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. We worked with them on creating agreement trainings for families, and worked with them to get information about alternative dispute resolution, both to schools and to families, especially around mediation and the benefits to both the schools and to families in preserving relationships and finding common ground. That's what's really been important for Peel, is to find that common ground so that, everyone is working towards that free, appropriate public education for kids.
Yeah, Cindy, you said a couple of things here. I just want to kind of go back and revisit a couple of things you had said because they were so important. You talked about really that the Peel Center has a long history of working with other organizations and families and caregivers and the school districts and the community to really ensure that we have collaboration occurring. And you talked about talking really about strengthening and improving relationships. And really what this comes down to is you said two big things here that I think this really encompasses the Peel Center and the work that you all really are dedicated towards, and that's empowering advocacy and growing as leaders within the community. I think those are two big ideas that when we think about the Peel Center and what it has to offer for our schools, our community, and our parents and caregivers, those are some big pieces, right? Empowering advocacy and growing as leaders in the community. And I think that's such an important piece to remember. And as we look towards our own practices in the schools, in our own community, and within our own families, that's what we're really looking at, advocacy and leadership. So thank you for sharing a little bit about how the Peel Center can assist in those relationships. Luz, so I want to think about something here, Luz, and we recognize, and Cindy said a little bit about this as well, we recognize there are families whose first language is not English, and while that adds a layer of complexity, that is a barrier that we can kind of tackle and eliminate together. So talk to me and help me understand UNE and how that can offer families who have a native language other than English to really help with students with disabilities and strengthen that relationship there.
Absolutely. So UNE provides, all of our services are in English and Spanish. So we cater to the Spanish-speaking communities of Pennsylvania, but we don't limit our services to Hispanic families. UNE does this through providing families, youth, and professionals who work with them on a variety of different resources as well. Similar, if you will, to Peel, we work together in many of occasions in developing materials and providing webinars and the likes as well. But we focus our services in serving the Hispanic communities. We provide everything in English and Spanish, as I stated before. We provide trainings, workshops. We have a bilingual parent support group called Andy's Cafe. Everything is done virtually. We will be providing we do provide in-services as well, but mainly virtually right now. Andy's Cafe brings resources of information to families, everything special education related, if you will, from the importance of family engagement to networking with schools, to pursuing competence and having high expectations for students, to special education evaluation and resolving conflicts. We work with the Office of Dispute Resolution. We work with the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, obviously with the Bureau of Special Education and PaTTAN on many different endeavors and mission and power, in order to ensure that the expertise from all of our organizations are forefront and are able to serve the families and the professionals who work with them and the youth with disabilities. So our main goal is empowering the families of children with disabilities and the youth with disabilities on all aspects of special education and transition to adult life. In fact, we actually have a hybrid youth program for students with disabilities, 14 to 21 years of age, that focuses on what we call the ABCs of education, which is attendance, behavior, and curriculum, with a very strong transition component to adult life. This program is a hybrid program, Tuesday through Thursdays. So it's something that really is looking at, where they're at today and where they want to be at tomorrow and how can they get there, and keeping them on track to graduation. And all of our services, as I stated before, are virtual. Parents can join us either through Zoom, and we're very active on social media as well. And like I said it before, all of our staff are fully bilingual in English and Spanish.
So as you're talking, I'm thinking and reflecting back on the Peel Center and what Cindy had to share. She's talking about empowering advocacy, and we're really talking about empowering families here. See how we're collaborating and we're connecting all of these agencies and how they really work together. And Luz, you had talked about, you're working with all types of agencies. You're working with PaTTAN, you're working with the Bureau, you're working with the Office of Dispute Resolution. There's so many more we could name, and as you had did, and I'm sure there's even more out there, that we're always working to ensure that we're leveraging all the expertise we have available. We're bringing everyone to the conversation that can really aid our families and our students with disabilities in really ensuring, and you talked about ensuring that we are really working towards that pathway to graduation, which is what we're really geared towards, right? Ensuring that our students are on that path to be able to graduate and then go where it is they feel is best after that graduation point. Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, right? To ensure that the students would graduate, that they're successful in their transition to adult life. So that's the commonality I think we all share, right? Yeah. Working with children from birth through 26 years of age sometimes, right? Just to ensure that, and working with the systems that be. So using the expertise, a collaborative expertise, to ensure that they are meeting their goals and are able to be successful.
Yeah, Oh, I love it. Collaborative expertise. I'm taking that phrase from you and I'm going to use it other places. So thanks for that. Collaborative expertise. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to just pivot just a little bit here, Jill, if I can bring you into this conversation. You know, we think about a true sense of belonging within the school community, being a full member of the school community and the larger community. It's really important for us to think about that for our students, especially our students with disabilities. And really, help me understand this, Jill. Mission Empower's mission is just that, right? To promote inclusion and assist families in ensuring that inclusion. Is that true? Help us in understanding that mission a little bit more in depth.
Yes, thank you, Don. Yes, our mission of inclusion, promoting inclusion, is woven into everything we do. Like UNE, Mission Empower is a community parent resource center serving families, children, youth, and adults with disabilities. But we serve families and youth who are in Erie County, the most northwestern portion of Pennsylvania. So for parents to be empowered, for example, within our Community Parent Resource Center program, we support them, coach them, mentor families to understand special education rights, their responsibilities, how to collaborate with school personnel, and work together as a team so they can advocate for their child for inclusion. You know, we really believe that we all benefit when we work, play, go to school together as a community. Within our Community Parent Resource Center programming, we also may go to IEP meetings with the families, which really helps to take the tension, I think, off the families. They come to us with a crisis, and generally it's because communication is broken down between families and the schools. So we support them to strategize, to look at their full range of options, and what would be the consequence of which decision. And we really promote them working together with the school, and for them to understand that, the school wants the best as well for their youth, and that collaboration, learning to communicate more effectively is going to be a benefit for all. And then we provide trainings that also promote inclusion and, competency of seeing their child as competent, and also parent leadership. We're actually starting a 6-week series starting September 14th on serving on groups. And this is where families are supported to be a part of a systems advocacy, to give their parental input into the educational system or into the mental health system, so that these systems really understand what the families are going through and youth as well. So as part of inclusion as well, we have a Youth and Vision program, and we really promote the youth understanding their strengths, building upon them, and understanding what they need to be successful. Because as they grow through high school and become young adults, they're going to have to tell their employer, ask their employer for accommodations, talk to their professors at college. Families often don't understand that they can't follow their child right into the university setting, that the young adult has to advocate for themselves. So we really, really try to support the young person to understand that. Yeah. And then also we have other programs such as Mission Read, where we provide tutoring to kids with dyslexia or dyslexia-like tendencies, and then an employment readiness program called Mission Employment, where they have a paid internship and learn what it takes to be employed. So that's Mission Empower in a nutshell.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big nutshell, Jill. That's a big nutshell.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things that you had talked about. The first thing you said to me, and I want to come back to this because I think this is so key, and this really speaks to not only Mission Empower, but to PEAL Center and HUNE too. Inclusion is woven into everything we do. I mean, that right there, that's what we're really talking about, and that's what we want for all of our learners, all of our youth. You talked about really teaching, coaching, and mentoring our families and our students, especially around that self-advocacy piece. You are right. We as adults have a tendency to think, I'll just go along with my child, with my youth, to school, to a job. I'll explain everything, when we know that's not really how it works, right? And our young adults need to understand how to advocate for themselves. And you talked about being able to communicate and work on those communication pieces. So I think that's such a critical piece. For all of us, when we think about what it is available for our families, our young adults, our larger communities, our schools and our school districts. There's so many agencies like the Appeal Center, like UNE, like Mission Empower, that are really here to help us collaborate and move the work forward. But I do have to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. How do we keep this work going? How do we keep up with collaborating and keeping ourselves moving so that this isn't the end product, it just continues to grow? So Luz, I'll kind of start with you if that's all right. How do we keep this great momentum going?
Collaboration and partnership is the way to keep it going. Making sure that the families are empowered, that the youth are empowered, that they're able to self-advocate or advocate for their children and youth so that they can be able to move the agenda forward. Because at the end of the day, if we don't, like we had talked about collaborative relationships, right? Ensuring that that is, at the end of the day, the only way to be able to be successful with what we do. And that, of course, includes the families, the communities that we serve. You know, where are the resources? How can we find them? How can we ensure that they're up to par? Making sure that we're at the cutting edge, right? Because we have that obligation that we know what evidence-based research looks like, that we bring it into the communities and into the families and the youth that we serve. That's all a big part of who we are and what we do. That's just in the back burner, right? So those are the things that we do to ensure that we are at that cutting edge and we're able to provide the most up-to-date information for the families and the youth so that they can be successful. And that is the only way that we can ensure success at the end of the day.
So good points, so many good points. Jill, your thoughts on how we continue this work moving forward and how we keep our momentum going?
Yes, I think a big part of it is being positive and giving positive reinforcements to each other. You know, parents oftentimes get the phone call from the school when it's going bad, when there's a behavior, right?
Yeah.
But parents would love to have a phone call when things are going well, when there's something that their student is doing well, or even an email. And vice versa, I believe teachers like to hear when things are going well from parents. So I advise parents to send an email or, follow up email after a meeting saying how, thankful they are about the collaboration. Things like that can move our relationship forward so much more, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Being that positive reinforcement. Cindy, your thoughts on how we move this work forward and keep our actions really relevant and going?
Thinking about what both Joe and Luz have said, I like to go back to what the Office for Dispute Resolution often tells us, and that is conflict is opportunity. This is an opportunity for the team to work together, to have to maybe go back and forth and think about, where we can be a stronger team in ensuring that our kids are in their least restrictive environment and getting their free, appropriate public education. And there is that, there's an ongoing opportunity for, having the team come together and really working as a team.
Absolutely. So, I'm reflecting on what you all have shared, and I'm hearing collaboration and partnership, empowering individuals, being positive. That's such an important piece I don't want to lose track of. And that statement that conflict is really opportunity. What a great kind of thoughts to reflect on to move our work forward and keep ourselves in that advocacy, collaboration, movement going forward. So I so appreciate that. Cindy, Luz, and Jill, it's been such a joy to talk to you, and I really do appreciate you taking some time to join PaTTANpod today to allow us kind of some insight into what it is that these agencies and organizations have to offer for our students, our families, and our larger community. So thank you so much for being on PaTTANpod today.
Thank you, Don, so much for inviting us all. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Wonderful. Well, we hope to see you all again on PaTTANpod again sometime soon. Thank you to all of you in the field. You are truly an inspiration to us all. A special thank you to John Ragsdale for producing this podcast. We'll see you next time on PaTTANpod.